Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am Nicholas Trevisano with Streamily, and you are here at the Hitman signing with the wonderful David Bateson and Jane Perry. Thank you both for being here, and if I could ask that you guys just give, for those that don't know, a little introduction to who you are, what you play, and what you've got going on right now. David, let's start with you.
Okay. Well, what I'm doing right now is this.
Right.
Obviously Agent 47 and Hitman, IO Interactive. I live in Denmark, and I haven't got another game coming up. Unlike Jane, who has a truckload. But I'm doing some TV, and I'm also growing something a bit scary for a film role, which is nice. Which unfortunately I can't even talk about. Damn.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry about that.
But more to come.
Yeah, big time.
All right. Jane, how about you?
Well, I play, as you probably know, Diana in Hitman, and Celine in Returnable, and Rogue in Cyberpunk. And what have I got going up? I mean, I do have a few things upcoming, but of course, not allowed to talk about them, which is so boring and frustrating sometimes. But there are a few bits and pieces. There is a game actually that's being released on July 19th called As Dusk Falls, which is made by an independent developer here in London called Interior Night. So that's kind of an exciting game. It has all these different branches, and the player can choose which way they want to go with things. And it's about this sort of dysfunctional family in the States. So there's some great characters in that, great writing, and that's quite fun. So that's upcoming.
That's really cool. All right. Thank you both, and we'll get started with a couple prints. And first up for you, David, is number 11 on the back, and it's for Andrew.
Andrew.
Yes. And they said, could I get you to write to Andrew on the top left and the autograph on the top right, and then Agent 47 underneath the signature.
Cool. Come on up.
And then Jane, what's your first one?
I think I've got Calvin here. I'm just looking at my dashboard here. It seems like it's Calvin.
Yeah.
I can't see where number 1 is though. But anyway,
no, that's okay. It's out of order sometimes, just because the VIPs kind of skip the line, so it's a little out of order.
Oh, Andrew.
Okay.
Oh, and Andrew is in the chat as well. So there you go, Andrew.
This is for you, Andrew. I know where you live.
And if you guys have any questions in the chat, feel free to shoot them our way. Great.
So I'm going to sign this one for Calvin. Here we go. And Calvin's asking for my favorite Celine quote, which I shall write down. I've got anxiety about this because I'm a lefty. I don't know if there's any lefties out there, but
I'm a lefty.
Are you? Okay.
Are you both lefties?
Really?
Yeah. All the best people are.
What? Well, I don't know.
Well, now then, let's not be, Anyway, so there's that fear that you're going to smudge things, but I will do my very best. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to sign this for Calvin with my best quote.
David, how was your experience working on in A Taste of Hunger? Asks Real Yoda.
Ooh, Taste of Hunger. That was that's a while ago. You'll have to refresh my mind. What did I play? I do a lot.
Real Yoda, give us the.
Yeah, come on, Yoda.
You are the real Yoda. Yeah, I can't even call you regular Yoda. Your next one is number 12.
Cool, number 12.
For LUIS, for Luis.
Hang on. Oh, Luis. LUIS.
Yes.
What does Luis want me to write? Just.
Can you add this quote from Hitman 2: Silent Assassin? Agency, comma, this is 47. Please and thank you. It's my favorite title of the series. Is Hitman 2: Silent Assassin? And what's up next for you, Jane?
Okay, Gregory. He wants a random quote from Rogue. Okay.
Ooh.
All right, and this is what I'm signing for Gregory. Where's my camera? There it is. Okay. Super. All right, Gregory, no problem.
And then, and Luis is also in the chat. Hey, Luis.
Sorry, I want Lewis's I want to get that quote right. Agency. This is
47.
yeah.
And there's a comma in between agency and this is.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it.
This is 47 or Agent 47.
This is 47.
Yeah, I thought as much. And then just sign it. My name.
Yep.
Okay, man.
Someone also said you were in the film Help, I'm a Fish. You played a shark.
Oh, someone's definitely been stalking me. Yeah.
Someone's been through your IMDb recently.
Yeah, that was so cool. Look, there's stuff a few Australians.
Really?
Yeah, because I played a shark in a very dim way. Let's put it politely, and with an Australian accent. That really, and there was a complaint from well, it wasn't a complaint. They wrote a line in the film Finding Nemo saying, "Not all sharks are Australian." It's a direct reference to my line.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
cool.
funny.
Yeah.
And speaking of, do you guys remember your audition for the Hitman series? And do you remember anything from? I know you guys do a lot of audition. I mean, it's kind of part of the game. But do you remember anything about
Hey, Lewis.
that
Hey,
process?
man.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Well, I didn't. I mean, I auditioned for a different character in Hitman before I was cast as Diana.
Oh,
Burton.
really?
Yeah, because I started in Absolution, Hitman Absolution, as the in-game tutorial. So my gig for that one was just to basically explain things and explain how to use the weapons and all that sort of stuff.
Did you still do it in RP?
No, I did it my own accent.
Oh, really? Oh, even more?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I interacted. I guess they got some good feedback about the voice who was doing the tutorial, and they said, "Jane, actually, would you like to have a go at playing Diana? And you'll have to do it in a British accent." I was like, "Oh, sure thing." And that's how I ended up playing Diana. So I kind of snuck in through the back door, playing another character.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it was really lovely actually to have that way in, because I had this kind of familiarity with the game from having worked in a completely different way, and then was asked to play Diana. So I was really honored, that they asked me to do that.
David, how about you? And also Jacob Maloney says, as an Australian, that is a solid impression. So you've got at least someone's approval.
Hey, Jacob. Thanks, man. Yeah, I was in the right place at the right time. Just moving to Denmark wasn't a career move. It just was a gut move. I just felt it was the right place to go to. After I was here as a visiting actor. And then, short story, I was just doing a voiceover, and that studio were doing the computer graphics for the first game, and they actually interrupted my voiceover session to say, "Hey, Dave, when you're finished, would you come and give Agent 47 a crack?" And so I don't know how many people auditioned and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's how I got my audition.
Right. And do you remember any, as far as Agent 47 goes, just as kind of a reserve character? Do you remember having any first do you even remember your first thoughts about it?
Yeah, totally. But it was based on those initial graphics.
Yeah.
Which were taken from Hong Kong in I think it was Codename 47. But the point being is they just look very sort of that lovely Japanese cartoon style.
Yeah.
Very, very strong, specific, and it looked very Blade Runner-y, which is my favorite film of all time. And so, that was a big yes for me in my mind. I want to do this. I want this part.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of the intro and the little sort of teaser I got to kind of.
That's cool.
And then he looked like me. That
right,
helps.
right. Hey, that also helps, right? People often say that you are the spitting image, right? But also your next one, same thing is for Khan, kind of like Star Trek Khan, Kaan.
Was like the late great James Caan?
Yes, the late.
What
that had a C in it, didn't it?
Hey? Oh, that's a C. No, sorry. Yeah, Caan is Kaan.
Yeah, Kaan. Yep.
And what
If
number
if
was
possible, could you write in the top right in the empty part, names are for friends, so I don't need one.
it? Oh, that's a great quote.
Isn't that a great one?
Names. I
And
just
Jane,
want to
you recently, or at least the most recent thing that I think has obviously garnered some attention, was Returnal. And there was a question about, was there any temptation to make Celine British, or was she always American? And also, how was your experience on Returnal? in
It
general?
was great. I had well, look at this picture. It's really interesting. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
there she is against the American
Right,
flag.
that photo is quite relevant throughout the
Yeah,
story.
totally. So I don't think there was ever. I mean, I don't know. Actually, that's a really good question because,
Yeah,
of course, by the time as a voice actor you come into play a character, all the thought has been put into it. And I know they put a lot of thought into Celine. So there might have been a moment where they thought,
Sure.
okay, she could be British, but for whatever reason, sorry, they decided that she should be American, and maybe that's because the Americans have a great space program
That's true.
and sort of history of amazing accomplishments in space. So I reckon that has something to do with it. And in terms of the experience voicing that character, it was fantastic. It was great. I was saying to David earlier, how wonderful it was to work with Housemarque, who's the game developer for Returnal. They are fantastic. They have such a great backlog of games, and I think they're going to come up with some really exciting stuff.
Okay.
So I so enjoyed working with them, and she's an amazing character who goes on a pretty extraordinary journey. That's always super fun to play as an actor. So I really loved it. She's great character.
Great. And
before I sign up, sorry, I want to make sure KAAN.
perfect. You got it. KAAN. Names are for friends, so I don't need one.
Got
at
it.
the
I
top
got
right.
all that.
Yeah. And then your signature, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. And then, and to bring it back to Hitman.
Crap. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries.
This is gonna work when I get the Rolodex working.
Yeah, yeah.
So what number was it?
That was 15.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And to bring it back to Hitman, that you guys both play characters that I think either by genetic, augmentation or just by events that happen in their lives are very reserved people. And so for you, like, and just in the brief talk that we both had earlier, you guys are obviously not very reserved. You're actors. You're very animated people. So for you, in terms of playing someone like that, even Agent 47, who has a sense of humanity, who is like, I think his edge is that he is kind of soft, and it's the same with Diana. Like, they're able to manipulate these cold hard criminals by consistently pulling off these gestures of goodwill to each other. Like, how do you find that kind of humanity in characters that are so reserved? And I guess, like, what do you find attractive about playing that? Like, what is your? I'm trying to understand what I'm trying to. I hope I'm making sense at all here.
Yeah.
Sure.
You are.
Like playing a character like that. What is, I think, your strategy for finding humanity in a character that is so closed off?
You go with that one first, Jane.
Okay, sure thing. Well, I think it has a lot, Nicholas, to do with the writing.
Yeah.
Everything is there in the writing. So the character is a certain way in the world, and as you say, I think you're right. They're both quite reserved for different reasons.
Right.
But the situations that they find them in sort of will draw out different aspects of their personality and their characteristics. And in some moments there is a sense of humor, there's
Right.
anger, and then there could be this warmth that comes up as well, depending on what's going on. So really it's just about being aware of the scene and what's going on and what the character, as Diana in this case, wishes to accomplish.
Yeah.
So if I want to generate a certain response in Agent 47, then I might choose to be very warm to him.
Right.
Or the scene might point to the fact that something has happened, which is drawing me closer to him. So that just comes up naturally.
Do you think that Diana has like a certain power over 47, like being the only person that is that close to him?
I do. I do. I think they have an extremely special relationship, and I
Right.
think that her, she's constantly sort of telling him what to do and telling him to do extremely dangerous things.
Yeah.
More often than not.
Right.
And I think that she's aware of her ability to do that. I think there's sometimes a slight maybe manipulation in there. She knows who and what she is dealing with. But I think at the same time they've been through so much together that
Right.
there's this, also respect and
Right.
care.
A certain trust. Yeah.
Certain trust, absolutely. And I think if anything ever happened to Agent 47, Diana would be devastated.
Right.
Yeah.
So would I.
Yes.
No, you touched on something, Jane, in an interview we've just done.
Yeah.
About what is it in our personalities that's we've brought to these roles.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I had not heard that before, but it was true what you were saying, that in the way you consider yourself to have obviously a strong person, a strong self-awareness, but you met a strong kind of moral code. I mean, which is a no-brainer when you talk about Diana. That she has a strong sense of what's right and what's wrong, and together with that reservation element you mentioned, and I went, wow, yeah. That, it would have been. It's interesting in a way to think what it would have been like with other people.
Right.
Yeah.
How would this game have evolved? How would we have affected the writer's concept?
Right, or even just the way the story goes, in general,
because,
as they write for these actors, right? All of a sudden, it's like, how do we play to their strengths, right?
I mean, obviously they have a game plan,
Right.
And what they need to achieve, and the levels, and the kind of the kills, and the missions, and so on. But it would be different, obviously, with two other people.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's so great. Why we can go and see Hamlet over and over again, because a different actor is going to be, or actress is going to be playing that role and brings completely different things to it. It's so fascinating.
Or even in new media, and I think maybe this is just like my own conception of IO Interactive also working on this is James Bond, right? Like the fact that you can each James Bond brings something else to that role, and that it's it's not necessarily about the individual that's playing it. It's more like just how incredible that character sits, right? But I think again, but I think it's still inspired. Like each James Bond kind of adds on to the last, right? There are certain, I think, even Hamlet performances, or I think Kenneth Branagh gives a lot of inspiration to many theatrical representations of Hamlet. Henry V, I think, starts to echo a lot of him eventually. So it's interesting to see that as well. Sorry, the next one for you, David, is number 1. And it's for Will, spelled how it sounds. And they asked for the quote, "The man has fallen into the river."
Isn't it? A man has fallen into the river.
They asked for the man, but it may be a man. You may be right.
A man has fallen into the river.
Oh, is that you?
That's me.
That's you. What a great role.
Yeah.
What a great role.
I found out last year or year before. It was the world's most used quote,
really,
on TikTok.
Oh, right. It became a trend.
I said, "Come on, you're kidding me." Yeah, no, it's.
There's a certain urgency to that performance, I gotta say, that people I think attach to. You know what I mean? I think people were impressed by the urgency there. If those characters that we were just kind of talking about, how they do have that reserved part, but there is a certain level of empathy to them. What would you say, and this is, again, non-canon, just to be funny, if they had, a guilty pleasure, is Agent 47 secretly a really big fan of Buster Keaton movies, right? What would be, or, he's really into, reggae. He just has, a random guilty pleasure. What do you think it would be?
I would say it was Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
Well, because that's mine.
Really?
I'm a massive fan of Charlie Chaplin.
Really?
Yeah, I am. I did my thesis on him at university.
Really? So interesting.
Well,
there you go.
Because he invented surreal comedy.
Yeah.
Buster Keaton, I'm a huge fan of.
Of course.
But it's absolute death-defying. But Charlie Chaplin did Surreal, and that really was a touch. Like he would, if in the pawn shop, he would take when he suddenly finds himself in charge because the boss has to go somewhere, and someone brings in a broken clock, and he, in front of this poor guy's eyes, he opens it up like a can of tuna or something, and he peels it back and he sniffs it and shakes his head. I think, oh, it smells off, and then so he's taken a clock and he's turned it into something else.
Right.
And then he pulls it out like it's sort of like spaghetti.
Right.
And then when he tries to push it all back in together, obviously it doesn't go because it's all. And he hands it back to him and he shakes his head like it's not going to make it.
Right.
And he was doing his heartbeat. It was just he's just taking something out of context and putting another situation on it.
Well, and even
real comedy.
Bringing physical acting on screen that I think sometimes is kind of lost in more modern filmmaking. But I think even if you go back to people like Jackie Chan or even Robin Williams, they have a certain presence on film that feels very theatrical and maintains, like, even if I muted this, right, like I still know exactly what this person is feeling, what their context is. Like there's a certain not professionalism, but there's a certain like discipline and tact in the ability to tell a story silently. The Gold Rush is really the only Chaplin movie I've seen.
Good one.
But I really enjoyed it, and again, like very surreal. And your last one, David, for the VIPs is number 2, and it's for Erk, E-R-K. Now, Erk, if you're here and you meant to type Eric, let us know. But we're gonna go with Erk because that is what you typed, and I don't want to.
E-R-K.
E-R-K. Yep. Yes.
I just did this one for Kevin/Ripley, and he asked for a good badass line. So
for a what?
a good badass rogue line.
Yeah.
So I wrote down, I love this, the way she puts it. I was sure you were going to come back as a bag full of smithereens, but you did it.
Oh, Erk is here. Erk is here. It is E-R-K. It is E-R-K. Thank you so much. Hello from Bangkok also.
Oh, nice.
Way to go, Erk.
Nice.
I got it here.
But that is a great line. And I think, what was your thoughts, Jane, when you were approached for Cyberpunk? Because Rogue is included, very early on. I was a big Cyberpunk nerd in middle school. I read all of the 2020 stuff. That's like has been my little thing, right? So for you, did they give you like a concept art of what she was like? Like, what was the audition process like for Cyberpunk?
Yeah, they did. They gave me images. I think they gave me actually for Rogue 2 or 3 images. And it just gave so much information about what she's like. Like, she's obviously a really tough gal.
Yeah.
And you really got that from the way she looked. I mean, look at her. And, here, it kind of says it all. Just the way she looks. She's she wears her life on her face. Like, her face is kind of biographical. You can sort of see the struggles and the stuff that she's been through.
Right.
So that is, and it's so well done. These these renditions of the characters they give us, and that's just extremely informative. And then when you audition, there's the image, which is super useful, and then of course there's a little bio that goes into more detail. And you go over that, you start thinking about it, and kind of living with that idea for it, and then a voice just comes. And
interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's with it. Yeah.
Is it as you kind of get further and further into your career, you learn to trust yourself more, and just kind of like with this bio, like kind of informs you into different parts of your register, or is it like is it different every time? Because it feels like with other pieces of acting, I feel like sometimes it's like I have to bring different tools from something that I learned 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, only now is it applicable. I hated this thing. And now I'm using it for this thing, and it's the only thing that seems to work. Is that the same in voice acting, or as you've gotten further into your career, do you have more like a more of a set like formula for finding character?
Oh, I wouldn't say I have a set. I mean, I guess maybe what I just described is the set formula.
Right.
But then what comes up is surprising and different every time. And I think we draw on different, getting back to sort of what we were saying earlier, we draw on different parts of ourselves to kind of bring those characters to life.
Yeah.
And that's fun. You just never know what's going to come,
Right.
you know?
I got something on this. I'd like to do a shout out for the late, great Joan Little, not the Joan Little from the Royal Shakespeare Company or
Little Littlewood, yeah.
Littlewood, that's right, Littlewood. No, Joan Little was my voice coach back in drama school in South Africa, and she was an elderly lady then. I mean, she was like, I don't know, in her 70s, something, and a real tough as bullets, and just, but really a little sort of nugget of a woman, and but I didn't get it. I remember her so well because she talked so much about, obviously everything to do with the voice, but she talked about the power of verbal dynamics. And I know we don't necessarily use that too much in front of the microphone, but we do. The point being is she was the person I know I look back on as made me pay attention to the sound of a voice. And not only to what they're saying, but also the sound of the voice, how the way they color that word. And you're thinking, wow, you can say that in a different way just by using your, giving a different kind of intonation.
Right.
So never let a voice coach be underestimated.
Right.
Students, pay attention. Yes. They know what they're talking about.
Ripley also says, Jane, thanks so much for the badass quote /line.
You're so welcome.
But I think that is all we have right now. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I know that it's later in the evening for you guys. So I just want to thank you both for being here, honestly and truly. And thank you everyone for donating to World Central Kitchen. We will be posting on the Streamly Twitter our receipts as well about that, and more information about World Central Kitchen as well. I also wanted to just kind of throw out, what was that podcast that you guys were just on? If you guys want to check it out, this is another interview that these guys just did.
Yeah, it's the Northern Nerdcast. In fact, Brad just joined.
I did see him for a second there. That's right. Yeah.
He popped into the comments there. It was called the Northern Nerdcast. So they've got really wonderful podcasts with all kinds of actors and people involved in games. So check them out.
Definitely, and it was one of the few occasions where we've all the lead actors in the last Hitman games were in attendance. So that was fun. Also for
cool.
us to see each other. So yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to ask. Can we answer any of these?
If you guys want to go through and answer any of these, go ahead. Yeah. I may have missed several. If you want to go through, you can, but it's all up to you. It's kind of, and again, if you have any more questions.
How do you do that?
You can scroll up, I believe, if you go to the comments. There should be like a little scroll bar if you want.
I can scroll, but how do I can click on one and go, hey, I want to just.
Oh, do you mean like type a comment?
Yeah, type a comment.
I see, right.
Oh, there should be, you can post a comment in the bottom, maybe?
No, I scrolled down. Jacob Maloney, hello. Must have ordered my print a bit late for this one. Any info on another streaming signing?
Potentially soon, but Jacob, the problem with that is that that's my fault. I did not get that print to them in time, but I'm going to ship David this print as well, and we'll make sure that gets signed.
Cool, man.
For you. I see you right here, Jacob. You're number 7. You were on my screen. Sorry about that. Totally my bad.
Northern Nerdcast. There you are. It was so great to be able to do this reunion.
Yeah. Groovy Grease, so he's asking about a Returnal sequel. I don't know about that. We'll see. I think, Housemarque has lots of irons in the fire, so we'll see what they come up with, but I'm not sure. But yes, of course, I would always like to revisit Celine because she's amazing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. Maybe a prequel. We'll see. Maybe something, alternate. We'll see what happens.
And say hi to Evie for me when you
I will
at your place.
I will. Yeah, for sure. Evie's from Housemarque. Yeah. Nice
Cool,
one.
man. Thanks, man.
But perfect. Yeah, of course. And thank you all again for being here. Yeah, I will end the broadcast right now. If we have any last questions, go ahead. This one I did want to say, actually, Nightshader asked, have you ever been recognized in public as the voice actor for 47 or Diana?
I have in Copenhagen.
You have in Copenhagen?
Yeah. I think it was the first of the trilogy. And they covered the whole of the city square, a bit like Piccadilly Circus or the Trafalgar Square of
Yeah.
Copenhagen. And they just covered the whole, there was a construction site in the middle, and all the walls, I mean, buildings were covered with this red poster of Agent 47.
Right.
I truly was just standing there.
Right. You were just
Okay.
another tall, bald guy that they're like, maybe
Yeah,
he
yeah.
is, maybe he isn't.
Yeah, and someone just went, ah! And, what?
Well,
But I do get a bit recognized. But I think they recognize the voice first, more often than not. And then,
Right.
I could be on the subway.
And they look up and they're like, no way, he also looks like him.
Yeah. And then they get.
yeah, he does. Yeah. I have never been recognized for my voice as Diana, but I have had a lot of people say, do you know what? You should get into voice acting.
You have a great voice.
That's a good
Way
idea.
ahead of you.
Oh, good. Thanks, man. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Anyway, thanks again, and thank you all for being here.
Yes, thank you, everybody.